Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today I have a list here of second-round players that are must-own players for the second round. Now, I gave you my must-own first-round players a couple days ago, and now I'm going to be talking about the second round, players that are consensus second-round picks that need to be your priority. Make sure to target these guys over the other consensus second-round picks. So I'm going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that is Ramondre Stevenson. Now, Ramondre Stevenson is a guy who last year was third in the league in targets at the running back position behind only Austin Ekeler and Christian McCaffrey. I don't think the importance of this can be stated enough. I mean, when you look at running backs that are dominant now in PPR formats, an essential part of that, in fact, maybe the most important part of that, is being tops in the league in target share at your position. Ramondre Stevenson was only behind Austin Ekeler and Christian McCaffrey in overall targets last year. This dude, 3.43 yards created per touch, which was top 6 in the NFL. That means how many yards you create after bouncing out the first tackle, all on your own. So he was creating a lot more than what the offensive line just gave him. And then you look at the fact that he had 15 breakaway runs, which was top 6 in the NFL, meaning runs of 15 yards or more. And, the touchdowns weren't necessarily impressive. He only had 6. But this did come on 38 red zone touches, which was top 15 in the NFL. So if he continues to touch the ball that much in the red zone, I think we can actually expect some positive touchdown regression for Ramondre Stevenson. I don't necessarily think this is going to be a good offense, but he does get peppered with touches within the red zone, whether it be carries or targets. So if this offense is even somehow average, I think we're looking at more like 9 or 10 touchdowns for Ramondre Stevenson this year. So I think that the touchdown numbers can certainly go up, and obviously he's going to be a PPR monster, catching all the passes that he does. And I got to point out, 5 yards per carry last year, one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL on over 200 rushing attempts. So we have a very good sample size. This dude's an incredibly efficient back. He's very talented. Bill Belichick loves him. There's certain people that are worried about other running backs coming in and taking volume from him because Patriots offenses tend to run split backfields. Guys, the Patriots have not had a running back as talented as Ramondre Stevenson in quite some time. So Bill Belichick's not going to do that with Ramondre Stevenson, okay? This guy's going to be an absolute workhorse. He's going to be a target hog, and he's going to get crazy amounts of volume, and we know he's super efficient. So he's an awesome pick going off the board in the second round. Next player on my list is going to be Garrett Wilson. Now, this is a guy who last year in his rookie season was 6th in the league in overall targets. He saw 147 targets, 19 red zone targets, which was top 9 in the NFL. So not only is he getting targeted a lot, he's getting targeted a lot within the red zone. And we now have a massive quarterback upgrade. I mean, this guy had 1,100 receiving yards last year as a rookie with a bunch of nobodies throwing him the ball. I mean, he had some of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL throwing him the ball next year. Now you insert one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Yes, Aaron Rodgers still is one of the better quarterbacks in the league, even though he's older. So, I mean, you got to figure that these numbers are going to skyrocket for Garrett Wilson, especially considering the fact that we usually see wide receivers break out in year 2. So if he did this in his rookie season with bad quarterbacks, we know that great wide receivers always break out in year 2. And now you give him Aaron Rodgers. How in the world is this guy someone that anyone thinks is going to bust? This dude is pretty much a bust-proof player. The floor and the ceiling are ridiculously high, and he's in an offense that could score a lot of touchdowns. So this is a guy who could come out this year and score 13 or 14 touchdowns in this offense. The overall ceiling is through the roof for this guy. You got to draft Garrett Wilson in the second round. There's going to be some drafts where he's going in the first round, but there's still a lot of drafts where he's going in the second round, and that's why I included him in today's video, because if he is going off the board in the second round in your draft, you need to jump at the opportunity to draft this guy. Next player on my list is going to be Monroe St. Brown. Now, I want to say that I am not going to be surprised if Monroe St. Brown finishes as this year's wide receiver 1. I mean, last year, this dude was hobbled all season long. I mean, on paper, yes, he played 16 games and technically only missed 1, but he was really never the same after that injury. So, you got to figure that with a full offseason to recover, him coming into the 2023 football season 100%, this is going to be huge. And there's also reports coming out of camp that he's going to run more deep routes this year and be targeted more downfield, which is a very good sign. And this is going to work because Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be such an awesome decoy that, kind of sets Monroe St. Brown up for bigger plays because, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be, lining up out of the slot and even out wide sometimes and running routes over the middle of the field. And this is going to open up those deep targets for Monroe St. Brown. This is going to be hugely important. This is a guy who could finish as this year's wide receiver 1. I mean, last year, you look at the efficiency, 2.57 yards per route run, top 9 in the NFL. He was peppered with targets within the red zone, top 8 in that statistic with 21 red zone targets. So this guy is going to score touchdowns like crazy. I mean, if this dude led the league as far as all wide receivers and overall touchdowns scored, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. This dude is an absolute beast and was going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL, and he is the clear-cut wide receiver 1. And so the volume, the talent, the opportunity, everything is there for Monroe St. Brown. This guy is going to absolutely explode this season. He needs to be a priority in the second round. Next player on my list is going to be Jaylen Waddle. Now, this is a guy who is just incredibly good at football, right? When you look at just wide receiver talent, he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. And I had a big concern going into last year when Tyreek Hill got signed. I wasn't sure, how these receivers were going to function. I mean, weren't they going to cut into each other's target share so much that they couldn't really both sustain awesome fantasy production? Boy, were we wrong on this. The fact of the matter is, these guys run the offense. They're force-fed the ball like crazy. And so considering the fact that, yes, there's two elite wide receivers on the roster, really they just kind of feed off each other and help each other out, right? Because, it's impossible to double team either one because you have to account for both of them. So that being said, and then you consider the talent. I mean, this dude, you look at the efficiency last year, 18.1 yards per reception, which was first in the NFL. So he led the league in yards per reception, which was a massive increase from his yards per reception in his first year in the NFL, where he was kind of bottom tier as far as his yards per reception. This past year, he had 18.1 yards per reception, which was first in the NFL, 2.81 yards per route run, top 4 in the league, and over 1,300 receiving yards, which was 7th in the league. And this came on 462 yards after the catch. This dude is lethal in the open field with the ball in his hands. He's just like Tyreek Hill. The minute he gets the ball, he has the opportunity to score a touchdown from anywhere on the field because there's tremendous speed and big playability. This track and field offense is going to be impossible for defenses to stop. Jaylen Waddle is going to absolutely eat. This dude is a must-own player going up in the second round. Next and final player on my list is going to be Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb is a guy who, you look at his career, he's had 5 seasons in the NFL and has never had less than 5 yards per carry. That kind of efficiency is absolutely insane. This is one of the best pure runners, if not the best pure runner in the entire NFL. And so, you look at the talent, and then you look at the fact that he's still running behind what's one of the best offensive lines in the entire NFL. This dude, it's going to be very hard for him to bust if he does not get hurt. And you look at last year, the volume, over 300 carries. He had 302 carries, which is top 3 in the NFL, 13 touchdowns, 1,500 plus rushing yards. And you look at the efficiency as far as breakaway runs, meaning runs of 15 yards or more. He led the league in breakaway runs, 23 breakaway runs of 15 yards or more. This dude busts out big plays like no other player. And 133 evaded tackles, which was first in the NFL. So if this dude has this kind of elusiveness and ability to evade tackles and the ability to, kind of run people over and just kind of maul people, this dude is incredibly powerful. He's incredibly elusive. He's incredibly talented. And yes, this offense is going to be a little bit more of a passing offense because they finally have a good quarterback to sling the rock in Deshaun Watson. But all this is going to do is increase the overall efficiency of the offense and give Nick Chubb even more scoring opportunities. If he repeated having 13 touchdowns yet again for a second season in a row, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't see any version of him not being even more efficient this year with all the distractions that the defense is going to have to deal with Deshaun Watson potentially running the ball, all the elite wide receivers that are now a lot more relevant because they do have Deshaun Watson. So defenses are going to be distracted with, the Browns passing game instead of being able to key in on the running game. They've been keying in on Nick Chubb his entire career because they know that that's the only way the Browns can move the ball, and they still haven't been able to stop him. Now there's other offensive threats. Look for the efficiency for Nick Chubb to fly through the roof this season because of this. This is going to be one of the better running backs in the league. He's a must-own player in the second round. He needs to be a priority in the second round. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning into the video. Catch you later.